Hey, Adam. Adam
Hey,
Raymer-Brown, with our hyphenated dash Browns. I didn't even think about that at first because I know you through the speakeasies. And I was like,
yeah,
oh my God, we're both dash Browns. So I've been telling my husband that we were going to be the attack of the dash Browns tonight.
that's right. I like it. We'll be a good team.
Yep. So to my followers out there, meet Adam Raymer-Brown. I know him through Steve Sims Speakeasy. Steve Sims, the author of Blue Fishing, The Art of Making Things Happen. I'm sure that y'all know who he is by now. But Adam, I want you to introduce yourself and tell them a bit about your background and about your business and what you do before we start talking about the other stuff.
Sure. My name's Adam Raymer-Brown, and I'm 33. I live in a small town east of Louisville, Kentucky, called Shelbyville, Kentucky. I've been here for about 15 years and been in IT for about the same amount of time. That's a quick synopsis, and I like uh, I like studying technology and the evenings and investments. I love Steve Sims and going to his events, and also like to go swing dancing as well.
Yes, your stories of swing dancing. That's one of the things I want to talk with you later on in this is, how can we maybe combine swing dancing in your business in some way? Okay, but so tell us about your business. I know you're in IT,
Yeah.
but tell us what you do.
So I started in '05. I was hired out of college as a part-time dispatcher, but I never did any dispatching. They basically, 2 weeks in, stuck me in a lift and said, pull this wire.
Wow.
So started with that and kind of trial by fire for a few years. We were acquired by another company 2 years later. And then about '08, '09, that great economy hit and I was laid off. But they, fortunately for me, gave me plenty of notice, and they quit servicing the type of customer that I was mainly servicing and said, if any calls come in for them, we'll pass them your way. So I worked part time in '09 and did jobs in the day, worked Walmart sweeping floors at night. And I did that for a couple months and then got on my feet full time in 2010. And I've been full time IT business ever since.
So, that's interesting because you kind of fell into a business that you didn't expect to
Mhm.
start, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It For me, it was, who else is going to take care of these clients? I'd had
Mhm.
these clients I'd formed a relationship with. I didn't know anything about anything starting out, and over the 4 year period, I'd come to know them and respect them, and worked with them through two companies.
Oh,
And
wow.
some of them were reaching out to me, and I thought, who else is going to take care of them? Who else knows the product? So I decided to do it myself.
Yeah, you don't want to let them down.
No,
And that
no.
says a lot about you. Let me ask you this, totally unrelated, but where did you go to college?
I went to a local community college. I actually started classes. I was homeschooled from about third grade on, and I started taking community college classes when I was 15, about
Oh,
a class at
wow.
a time, and got my degree out there. And
That's cool. That's
yeah,
another thing that we have in common. I actually homeschooled my kids for 2 years.
really, okay.
Yeah, the last year we lived in Florida and the first year we lived in Virginia.
Seems
So
like everybody's homeschooling this year. So
I know everybody that said I could never homeschool, and now they're having to do it. You
yeah,
know,
we did it before it was cool.
yeah. And the funny thing is, my kids ended up working for me. I mean, they grew up in my business, and so with homework, sorry, I'm getting off track. But with
No, you're fine.
homework, I basically be like, go do this. I don't care when you do it, whatever, but this is what you have to do, and you have to have it done by whatever time of the day. So it's kind of like having employees,
Yeah,
and so I sent them off and they did their thing, and whenever they did it, and they learned to, be responsible for their own time and get things done. So
yeah,
that's cool. I didn't realize that you were homeschooled. The
yeah.
reason I ask where you went to school is just in case somebody went to the same school that you did, somebody who watches this, you
Yeah,
know.
the name of it at the time was Jefferson Community and Technical College. I think they've merged with the University of Louisville.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I went to Virginia Tech. Everybody
Okay.
out there, I'm a Hokie. Okay, so I want to. One of the first things I want to ask you, and I want everybody out there to understand. Adam and I are talking about reimagining his business. If he could turn it into his perfect business, um, there's no way we can do this in 30 minutes or an hour. You could never do that with your own business. Even if you're trying to do it, it's going to be a process of months, probably. It's going to evolve because you might think one thing, but I want to walk him through some of the questions that I ask my clients, because most people don't think of a lot of these questions. They only think of, what do I do? How much can I charge? And maybe, where do I live? They don't really think about the more personal things. And that's what I try to encourage people to do. So Adam, and I feel like I'm on the dating game. It's like, ooh, bachelor number one. What type of lifestyle do you want? So the things I mean with that is, do you know that you want your business to be in a certain town and that's where you want to serve forever and ever? Do you want to be able to work from anywhere in the world and do the same thing, have the continuity of the same business, or hours? Like for me, I'm a night owl and I am definitely not a morning person. So I like to be able to work whenever I want. And of course I have meetings, that I have to meet these forms, and I do that, but I hate having the 9 to 5. So what are some of the things that you like and dislike about what you're doing now? Or no, I'm sorry. What would be your dream, like your lifestyle? I got ahead of myself.
Yeah, dream lifestyle. I'd say I've been in it for so long. I don't get the chance to get a 30,000 foot view too often.
Yeah.
I don't take vacations much longer than 3 or 4 days. I think the longest I've been away from my business was 10 days. So to completely reimagine, I would say it would involve elements of not a 9 to 5 for sure. It would probably be partial days, not because I don't want to work, but just to increase the variety and scale of things that I can work on. So when I say I would maybe want to work 4 hours a day on my primary business, it's not to say that I only want to work 4 hours a day. I would want to work 8 to 12, but maybe on other opportunities.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally get it, because if you're like me, heck, I might work 70 hours in a week. And people that don't know me, if they're not here in my home, they might be like, well, what does she do? Because I sleep really late or whatever. But my business is my life, like I live it. So I totally get it with the thing of, people don't understand, if you're saying these 4 hours, that doesn't mean that's all you're working.
Yeah.
So
the ability to scale down or scale up and know that the customer is being taken care of and I'm providing value and providing solutions, and to know they're taken care of despite the number of hours I may or may not work.
Okay. So I need to remember to ask you in a minute. I don't want to ask it yet, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to ask. I need to remember to ask you about the types of things that you offer.
Okay.
As compared to that about, with the hours being fluctuating. So now if I can remember what the heck I was going to ask you. So you said the longest you leave is for 10 days. 10 days is forever for me.
Yeah.
Even if I'm away, I'm typically still doing something, talking on the phone, whatever. So when you say 10 days, is that truly away, like it would be on vacation if you were in
No.
Philly? Okay.
No, the longest I was truly away, I don't have a good answer. That maybe about 4, where I had no cell phone service.
Wow. Okay, I'm impressed. The last time I did that was on a cruise ship in the 90s, when you didn't have cell phone service once you went out a certain distance. I'm really impressed that you were able to do that. Because I usually end up checking email and, even if I tell people that I'm going to be gone.
It's pretty much work like mad right up until the morning of, and then hope everything goes okay, and then work like mad when you get back. And then, just hope nothing goes wrong, which is not a great strategy. So
the type of IT services, is it stuff like networks, running networks and stuff, setting up computer systems that once you get it done, it's just kind of watching it and making sure nothing goes wrong? Or is it more day to day, that, that people really need
Yeah.
kind of regularly?
I've got a couple different buckets of clients. So the customers that I mainly have are in my local community in Shelbyville here. I have a few in the larger Louisville metro area. And basically, if it involves technology, they call me. So that could be they're about to move an office. So they say, we need someone to set up and coordinate the internet connections, to run the wires, to run the security cameras, the whole thing. And I will take care of that for them. Whether I hire out very little of that, so I can go from soup to nuts on the whole deal. Another bucket of clients is there are other people like myself, 1 and 2 person companies that are in the area that they might take on a big job and they need extra hands, or they'll send me. And then another bucket is out of state organizations that are the national contractors. Say, for instance, like a Tommy Hilfiger store, they contract with a company that then sources the local technicians. So that's another bucket of clients. Those are fairly unpredictable. You don't know when they're going to call.
You don't know when they're going to call, but it's a pretty good gig when you get it.
Typically, yeah. I have 2 or 3 of those that I've had longer relationships with. I try to limit those. Those have also been my most troublesome clients.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the larger out-of-state contractors that hire subs, I've had a couple file bankruptcy on me, and I've had a couple slow pays and things like that. So I'm very cautious on taking on a new contractor.
Yeah, and that's a good lesson for anybody that's listening. It sounds wonderful to have big clients, but they can be your worst nightmare. Most have a lot of them have these processes for quotes and proposals. So you put a ton of work in before you're even really starting work. And then, like you said, they have these hoops that they're like, well, this is our policy, so you have to accept it, like the terms for payment and everything. And then
you have very little flexibility on your side. It's hours. If you can afford to wait 60 days or 70 days, typically it's anywhere from 40 to 70 days before you're paid. After, it could be a little 2-hour job. So it's great filler. Yeah, it's great filler, but not great to make a living on. You'd need a consistent pipeline of those jobs, and the type of work they have you doing, it's just not worth it.
And you need cash in the bank on the front end.
Yeah,
to be able to afford to do it, and then hope they don't go bankrupt before you get to that 40 or 60 days.
Exactly. If you had techs with nothing else to do, it's great filler work and project work, but it would be a terrible lifestyle.
Oh God, yeah. So we just talked about what you like and dislike in your work. Did I specifically ask that, or we just kind of wove it in?
We kind of wove it in. Yeah. I'd say one thing that I like about my work is installing new products that I know fairly well and know how things are going to shape up, and know I can provide a good solution for a customer. There's a time and a place for unknowns, but not with what I do. I don't like the unknowns. Yeah. So I go to a Steve Sims event for an unknown. That's a good unknown, but not in the IT world where you can't quite identify the problem. Or really, what annoys me is intermittencies. Those are the hardest, because it's always working when you get there, and you can see you can see the frustration.
Yeah, you can't replicate it, and then you leave, and voila, it happens again, and it's your fault. Yeah.
And I believe the customer and the client when they say that it's not working. I believe them. I want to believe them. Right. But when I'm there, I can't replicate the issue. And that's frustrating for everybody. Because you haven't done any work, so you don't feel good about billing and charging for that service. And nothing's fixed. So
you're right. It is frustrating for everybody. And anybody that's watching, the reason that I keep looking down, I have a list of some questions that I want to ask him, and I'm not going down the list, but I just want to make sure that I don't miss something that I feel like is important. So now I want to ask you, who would be your ideal client? For example, for me, I would say, because I've been doing this so long and because of my age, I'm 59, and a lot of people my age are very intimidated by the web. So I work with clients of all ages, from early 20s on. But my sweet spot would be 50 and over, successful entrepreneurs who know that they need help integrating the web into their business more strategically so they can either make the business more valuable, more likely to sell, or operate more efficiently, or maybe all of the above. So that would be my sweet spot. And where I wouldn't be the one doing it, where I would be able to take my expertise of the past 24 years of doing this and be their trusted advisor. Because with everything out there now, there are people can do a lot of things that they don't need my expertise to actually do it. They need the big picture.
Yeah.
So that's an example of what my perfect client would be.
Okay. I'd say for me, I've got a couple of clients that come to mind that I enjoy working with, and I've had a nice long-term relationship with them. And what I enjoy about those elements, they take my word for it. They trust me. And if I'm not big on the least expensive solution, I'm big on the best spend for the money. So the most value provided. So it might be 50% more than the cheapest, but you're going to have way more value and impact for that spend. And they trust me to make those decisions. I'd say I work very well with small offices that are regular hours, so not doctor's offices or anything like that. Water utilities, small utility companies, small government agencies, they have the 9 to 5 hours, and it's not mission critical stuff. So that and
holidays that also have the holidays.
Yeah.
So there are two good things about that. If you want to take a holiday, their own holiday. Yeah. Typically, you don't have to worry about them calling you, but you also know that you have that downtime for them if you need to get work done.
Exactly. And they trust me that if I need to do something after hours, I know it's going to be completely cleared and I can, have the run of the place. And especially if I'm moving or running infrastructure wires or things like that, then it makes it a lot easier. And I typically will work with, in an office environment like that, with typically 10 or fewer employees, I'll work directly with the owner or the office manager, and that's my main point of contact. And I've got customers. One of my bigger customers is about 40, 50 employees.
Wow.
That's more of an exception.
Yeah. When you go in, when you say do you usually have a crew with you, or
typically it's just me? I'll have an employee occasionally, and sometimes I'll use subcontractors on things that I don't do very often, like a brand new server setup. A lot of my clients are smaller, and they're right on the edge of whether or not they'll need a dedicated server to service them. What I'll do is I've got a local tech that I trained under for a couple years when I first started working, and we have a good working relationship. I'll hire him for an hour or two to get the ball rolling and do all of the setup stuff, and then I can maintenance the equipment from there. So where I feel I'm less effective, I will hire out and make smart decisions on that. Or I'm actually looking for cabling crews right now to run wires for me.
Oh, okay. Anybody out there, if you're you have cabling crews, contact Adam.
Yes, very much.
Contact him on Facebook, and y'all can hook it on up.
That'd be great.
When I know that you have had employees. Do you have any employees right now?
Not currently.
Transition stage.
Yeah, I had one for about a year, and that just wasn't working out. And that's the most I've ever had is one. So I'll have an employee, and then I go off and on from having an employee.
Yeah,
it's tough.
I don't know what you're like, and I do have several employees, but I'm a horrible manager and I'm a horrible delegator. So when I have an employee, it has to be someone who is able to work on their own. That doesn't mean that I don't ever help them. I mean, my lead developer, I've been on the phone a lot with him this week. He's in Boston, Massachusetts, and he is an employee. But, it has to be people who are able to work on their own, adults who don't need to be babysat to make sure that they're getting work done. And part of it is because I'm a really bad delegator. And so I have to know if I tell somebody to do it, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And that I'm not, having to be this hands-on manager. And the other part is because I'm a perfectionist. So if I allow myself to get down in the weeds, I can't get out again.
Yeah.
It's like I get tangled up in the details
Yeah.
and, obsessed with them. Do you have
Yeah.
that problem?
Yeah, I've had some experience with micromanagers in past companies, and I refuse to be that myself. And I want to be the change in the world that I want to see.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, I don't want to be a micromanager either. And when I say get out of the weeds, I don't mean like me telling them. I mean like me obsessing. Like I'll be like, okay, I'll do it, and and it's just ridiculous that I will spend so much time on something that doesn't matter only because I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah, I think I've taken the anti-micromanager thing too far, and it swung in the other direction. And I'll have someone go do something. I just assume that they'll go do it, and nothing else. I said go do this, so that's what should be done, and I just make those assumptions. So that's been a mistake in the past.
Well, I'll tell you, I made that one time and huge. When I was caring for my mother who had Alzheimer's, I decided to hire somebody to help me run the business. I was like, I need to be a grown up. I need to let go. I want to care for her. And of course, I still want to run the business, but I need somebody to be kind of more day to day. And I hired somebody that I knew, a friend. And I forced myself against my own personality, just that knowing, whatever, forced myself to let go of things that I knew a normal business owner, would be able to let go of.
Yeah.
And there were many times that I felt like, I don't know if this, but I was like, shut up, Lisa. That's what you're paying this person for. It bit me in the, pardon me, y'all, but it bit me in the ass. Bad. And I spent the last 6 months of her life basically saving my business. I'd had the business for, 18 years then.
Wow.
I think. Yeah, it was horrible. And I'm not saying it's all that person's fault. A lot of it was. But also, if I had, there were warning signs that if I hadn't been trying to force myself so intently, you have to do this, you have to let go, that I would have addressed them. So that's really hard for business owners. I think it's a really hard fine line that we walk.
And dealing with conflict, I have very little experience with and very little desire to be good with, but looks to be necessary.
That's me. And like I told you earlier, I'm a middle child. So a lot of that, I think, comes from the middle child thing. The doing stuff yourself and not asking people for help, but also the just wanting everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. We talked about your ideal client. Well, okay. I talked about what I'm best and worst at. I don't know if you did, because I kind of took over. What would you say that you're best and worst at? And if you already told me, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Best at, I would say, integrating and simplifying solutions. I'm very cognizant to avoid industry-specific technical jargon. I never want to confuse somebody with those terms. I think people in the IT industry tend to show off new words like toys. And it's look how smart I am. I'm using these big words that I know you don't understand. And if a mechanic were to do the same thing to us, or a doctor, they're going to use technical terms we don't understand. So I'm very cognizant not to use that. And I want to make things as simple for my clients as possible. So simplifying what can be perceived as complicated technical systems.
That's another thing that you and I have in common. My tagline is no gobbledygook.
Yeah.
Because so many people just spew jargon because they think it makes them sound smarter. They think it makes them able to charge more, or it could even be a cover because they don't really know what they're talking about. Read it in a book somewhere. And I truly believe that the fact that you are able to simplify it means that you know more. The fact that you are able to take this concept and simplify it in a way that a layperson can understand you have to understand it yourself first. So I think it's great that you do that.
Yeah. I would say what I'm worst at is probably consistency. I've struggled with that, especially when business ebbs and flows and you have a bunch of fires, three things go down at once, and you get in a season of just in the weeds focus, being consistent on following up and things like that. And there's a bunch of projects on the back burner you should get to. That's been a big thorn in my side, is being consistent.
So I don't know if I would call that being consistent or
a lack of good process in place.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
That's where my technical processes for installation and everything are good. My management processes for myself are weak.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and I can relate to that too. We have a lot in common, Adam.
Yeah, we do. It's the hyphens.
That must be what it is. Okay, this is hard for a lot of people to come up with, because we tend as humans to not be introspective, and we don't allow ourselves kind of the pleasure of indulging the things that we like or don't like. But what are some of the things that you find totally irritating or pain to do? Like for me, it's repetitive tasks. That's one thing.
Yeah, I think I touched on that a little bit earlier on the unknowns.
Okay.
Especially on when I have a tightly scheduled day and unknown problems come up, that one checkbox you can't find, yada, yada, on trying to troubleshoot an issue. So having unknowns that you're having to fight through is annoying for me. If I've got nothing else going on that day, that's fine. I'll fight that battle. But if I'm trying to serve 3 or 4 clients in a day, and this one problem refuses to give up, even though everything on paper says it should be good, those are the really frustrating times. Or you go into solution B and C and D and still nothing's working.
Right. And that, being in IT, that might be a difficult thing to work around. You have to figure out. So like for me, I used to be an accountant, very, very good at numbers, extremely good at numbers. Could not stand the today you do this, tomorrow you do this, every month you do this. It's like, oh my God, just drove me crazy.
Yeah.
So I learned that I love the logic and I like solving puzzles, but I like things with a beginning and an end. And I don't like doing the same thing over and over. So I was able to learn from accounting that I didn't like that and tend to avoid the things in my business that would involve that. Like, I don't want to do all the, like ongoing data analysis, like SEO, like every day, or how many widgets have sold and how can we get more clicks and, things like that.
Yeah.
So what you need to do with that is figure out, because in IT, there are always going to be unknowns. You either need to figure out what you can do to minimize those, like how you can fit yourself in that process.
I'd say more authority in the beginning and more control over the entire system to encapsulate more of a solution. And that comes down to really confidence in offering a solution where, just to give an example, you're putting in the wireless, but you know that the router's no good. But you put in the wireless anyway, and you know that it's going to come back and bite you, but you're not ready for them to spend that money.
Yeah, they picked the router because that was their budget or whatever.
Yeah, rather than saying, rip it all out, let's do it from scratch because I know this works.
Okay, gotcha. Totally have, yeah. I gotcha on that. And those are the kind of things that, when you start positioning yourself as you go, you can start working that in.
Yeah.
That becomes the way that you work. An example with me is that I used to include in with the project like strategy and brainstorming and all that, because I'm like, you got to have that before you do it. But so therefore, if I was talking to a prospect early on, we might talk about a lot of that stuff and then they might not go ahead with the project. And I'm like, okay, I just sat here and gave away 15 years worth of knowledge that never ended up doing the project. didn't know doodly about and would never have even known how to say it. And so the way that I got around that is that now if somebody wants to work with me, I will do a 15-minute free call so that we can just kind of talk and see, hey, personally, do we like mesh?
Yeah.
But beyond that, I have a 1-hour brainstorm and it's $150. And that's basically that step up. What do you need? What can we do? Blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, it serves them just as much as it serves me.
Yeah.
Because I might say, you don't need me. All you need is to go use this, this, and this and go find somebody, but I found a way to work around it. Okay. So that's what you need to do is figure out a way that you can work around that thing that is a real thorn in your side that not only irritates you, but it genuinely loses money for you.
Yeah. Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah. So if you can figure out a way that you can address that you and the client both win, that's gold.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the brainstorming session is very valuable. I have a lot of text messages and phone calls that come in at all hours on, hey, when you have a minute, can you think about this? Or can I pick your brain about this quick thing?
Yeah,
I've got a lot of those.
Yes. Yeah, you can pick my brain. And this is what I say. I have a booking calendar on my website. Go book an appointment and they have to pay to book it. And, it's really hard for me sometimes, Adam, because I like to talk with people and I like to be involved and I like to help people. But I also know that I could literally spend my whole day answering questions and letting people pick my brain before they decide whether they want to work with me. And then they go to work with somebody with 5% of the experience, but I've given them the foundation. And I don't care if they work with somebody else, but I don't want to be the one that's paying for it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a frustrating feeling.
It is. It really is. And again, it's not because we're selfish, but it's because you only have a certain number of hours in the day. And when you end up giving them all away, then you're left going, okay, how am I going to pay my bills?
Yeah, exactly. I've had those days.
I'm in my mind kind of like getting this big picture of ways that I think that you might be able to position yourself that we can talk about off here because, you don't want to share all of your inside details. But another thing I wanted to ask you is how can you differentiate? And so it might be who you serve, like a certain industry or certain age group or a certain interest type. It might be what you offer, as in the type of services or the service level, that kind of thing, or something specifically about you and your background. For example, a lot of entrepreneurs that I know are veterans and military spouses. I happen to be a military spouse, but I've never used that in my marketing. I just, because my husband retired a long time ago. But that's a really big part of people's lives. And so that can become an important part of their business because it tells potential clients something about them. So what are some ways that you can differentiate? We know you have your experience. We know that you have your dedication, you care about your clients. And what other ways do you think that you could differentiate?
That's a good question. Probably on the approach I take on, I call it closing the loop on here's the best product. This is what happens if this product doesn't work. This is who you call. So giving them a closed loop. That's I don't see a lot of that or that prep work going in. So an example of that is a lot of people, when I first got into the business, a lot of people would ask me about a backup. I would say, okay, let's find a backup. Here's someone that says they do backup. Okay, check that box. Your backup is only as good as your ability to restore. So testing, and a lot of people think of the restore. They did the same thing I did at first and check the box. Okay, got a backup. They've never done the drill. Okay, the computer's toast. Now what?
Right.
They have no idea what to do. And at first, I didn't. But closing the loop, when you close the loop, you've got a full test in place. Now I've got clients where they have a backup solution they're happy with, and I go in regularly and do a test restore. Not only just testing, then that allows me to obviously have a better relationship with them and charge more. But they're happy to do that because they know not only is it being backed up, I made them aware we need to close the loop on this and actually do a fire drill.
Yeah, you're not charging more just to charge more.
No.
You're charging more because you're providing a valuable service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that so much. People, I got a backup, and they have no idea whether it works. Even with something as you could say, as simple as a website, they've never tested it. They really don't have any idea. A lot of people might back up their website and they realize that it backed up the database, but not the files.
Yeah.
Or not the database, or,
Both important.
It's just amazing. But once again, this is what I always tell my clients. If you don't know the right questions to ask, you can't get the right answers. Just like me, I don't know anything about cars other than basically how to drive. So, I know to put gas in and I how to change the oil and all that. But if I go in and somebody starts talking to me about something really deep and with the engine and stuff, I don't know what they're talking about. So I don't know. I can't tell if they're telling the truth. But aside from that, I don't even know what questions to ask to make sure that I'm getting what I need and want. Do I need something that's going to take me 500,000 miles, or do I just need something that's going to take me 50,000?
Yeah. Yeah, I that's a good point. Educating and elevating my clients' awareness of the problem. If I can have them walk away with more knowledge so they feel more confident to make a decision and to see how I arrived at my decision so they know we're on the same page, and not just push product on them, but to explain why I think this is best and have them at least be educated on the solution they have in place.
Right. You are their trusted advisor. And then you have told them, these are your options. These are the strengths and the weaknesses. And at the end of the day, they've made the decision that this is what they want to go with. So the responsibility is on them.
Yeah. That's
another great thing about educating your clients, because they can't say they didn't know. And I'm not trying to say I don't want to try to sound negative, because I have a great relationship with my clients. I probably sound like a bitch. Sorry. But, I do. I get along great with my clients, but I also know the kind of, snake pits that you can get in out there.
Well, without that, it's hard to sleep at night, because that without that wall in place or that liability understanding in place, it's always going to be on you. And that's just no way to live.
Exactly. You can't. Yeah. You have to educate your clients. You have to let the decision be theirs. And even when they make the decision, you need to make sure that they understand the decision that they're making.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the highest value service what do you think is the highest value service that you provide? Or if you're not providing it now, the highest value service that you could provide?
Probably going further and pursuing that path we were just talking about on educating and elevating their awareness. I really enjoyed that element, and I think because I call it a black box. You go plug in boxes or troubleshoot boxes. The brand might change over the years. There might be acquisitions. They do different things. You're plugging in a box at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So you need to focus more on the solution that you provide and have them understand it. So I'd say that's where I can be valuable and provide value. To what scale, I'm not sure. That's something I would probably like to elevate. I think there's value there. I'm not sure how to convert that.
Well, I know that there's value there, and I'm really happy that that's what you said, because that is the high value that I see that you can bring, because there's so many people who can do those things, but they might not know. They know how to do them and they're great at doing them, but they either might not know exactly why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Not to sound facetious, but they're good at doing it. They might not know exactly why they're doing it, or why that's the best option, or whether there are other options. I did a short Facebook Live video a couple months. Oh my God, you're lucky if you didn't see it, because I'd been mowing for 3 hours with the push mower. And I was out on the hill. And it was when Steve was making me do live videos. I was like, I don't want to do live videos. So I was like, fine, I'm just going to do one when I look the worst, because then it's like ripping off the scab. But in that video, I said, this is grass. This is grass. It gets mowed. It doesn't matter if it's a push mower or a riding mower. They're both tools. They both get the same thing done. I like the push mower because I like the activity and blah, 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 the exercise. My husband likes the riding mower because he hates lawn care, hates it. And on a riding lawnmower, he can ride around and drink beer and, Yeah. So, and so my analogy was, it's the same thing with websites and apps and SaaS systems, software as a service. I know you know that, but in case people in the audience don't, it's the same things. You don't have to obsess about the tool so much as you have to know exactly what it is that you want to achieve. And then you can back into the tool.
Yeah.
Because you know what? There's those like, what do you call it? The 360-degree, riding mowers.
It's your turn.
Yeah. Oh my God, of course they're really, really cool, but I wouldn't get what I want out of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my husband would love it because he could have his beer and ride around in circles.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't get any exercise. And so,
yeah. One of the best examples on that topic, I heard about that, and relating to what you were saying, there was a dry clean customer that was trying to compete on price. He was, I'll make up a number, the competition was $3 per item, and he was $4 and couldn't quite get it down to $3. He was talking with the consultant, and he said, I just can't match the prices because they throw everything in a vat together and they do it cheap. And the lady said, would you be willing to spend $2 more to have your own clothes processed by themselves? And yeah, I didn't even know they did that. So now I'm careful and I'll pay more.
Okay, so now I've learned something too. But yes, that's a big differentiator. And the average customer has no idea. So it's up to us as the professionals to educate them on why what we do is different and therefore worth more. And that is not to devalue the other people, because the way I look at it, it's like I said earlier, the way that the internet has changed. It used to be that you had to have somebody like me develop a website. I mean, in the 90s, the first e-commerce site that I developed, there were no e-commerce. There was no shopping cart software.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to code it, do the database and everything. And I'm like out in the bookstores looking for books to buy because I didn't study that in college. And now, you like click button, whatever. And it just does it. So people don't need that like hands-on thing that they used to. What they need is the higher level knowledge, because people with lower level knowledge are able to do those things.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what you're talking about with the dry cleaner is, I don't know, I just drop my stuff off at the dry cleaner and pay when I pick it up.
Yeah.
But then if you tell me, oh my God, it's going in the vat with everybody else's, and if I only pay $2 more, I know it's by itself.
Yeah.
Hello, yes, I'll pay more.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example, Adam. I'm so glad that you said that. This is going to probably be hard to answer because I know it's been very hard for me to answer over the years, and I know it's very hard for a lot of people, especially people like us who have decades of experience and really deep knowledge, because we kind of take things for granted. But I wanted to ask you, what experience do you have that you might be able to turn into an informational product? And by that, I mean either like a little email course or a lead magnet that's a worksheet, or maybe even a book like I wrote Boomer a Cash Out. Can you think of anything off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, that's a tough question.
How about this? How about for like, let's pick a specific type of client. Let's say utility, since you said that, they're a good client of yours. Maybe there are very specific things that utilities should consider when they are considering a certain, whatever kind of job you would do for them. So maybe you have some type of worksheet that you offer for free to them. And what that does is it helps them, it helps educate them on why they need you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they start doing the worksheet and then they're like, oh, shoot, I don't know.
Yeah, worksheet would probably be a lot more appropriate than a workbook or a book. The thought of filling X number of 100, 200 pages is intimidating to me.
Yeah,
I can fill it. I don't know with what, but a worksheet or a checklist, I think would be well suited. I like that idea. On
so
giving them an ideal process and are you doing these things in your business? If not, call us and here's how you do this, or for this price we can implement and run this for you.
Right. And that's fine. If they want to do it, they can do it and have at it. And you have helped them. You've provided something of value. So even if they feel like they don't need you right then, you're in their mind that you have been kind enough to provide something of value. So when they do need something they feel like they have to pay for, you're going to be the first person that they think of, and it's going to be higher value also.
Yeah.
So things like that would be a good lead magnet on your website, but it would also be a good cold outreach thing. You know, if there's a client out there that you just email and go, hey, you know, blah, blah, blah. If you need any help with this, here's a worksheet, you know. And I think that would be easy for you to prepare. Yeah. And you might be able to use the same one for various kinds of businesses, or you might customize it depending on the type of business that it is.
Okay. Yeah, I like that idea.
This is, I know that you dance and I know that you swing dance, and I love that. My husband and I said when we first got married, 1987, forever ago, we said that we were going to take ballroom dancing lessons. Okay, 33 years later, we haven't. Ballroom dance. And I know that's not what you're doing. You're doing swing dance, which I think is so cool. But you said that you travel all over the country with that, and you have met people all over the country.
I have, yeah. So there's a couple different types of swing dancing, actually. So I do what's called West Coast swing. There's an East Coast and a West Coast, and there's variants.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Different types of swing.
But I want to know, what's the difference?
Yeah. So think of East Coast swing as big band era, kind of 50s music, kind of bouncy. Think bouncy music.
Is it kind of like beach music, like shagging?
Shagging is kind of close to West Coast. So,
so shagging is more like West Coast.
Shag is a variant off of West Coast, and that came out of North Carolina, I believe.
Yeah, so I was going to say North Carolina, because I live in Virginia, and everybody in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, pretty much everybody shags. Yeah. So I did not realize that was a variant of West Coast.
It is, and shag it's actually a showcase for the guy, for the leader. Nowadays, they use the terminology leader and follower instead of guy and girl. Yeah. So shag is actually one of the dances where the guy is showcased in his footwork. And think of it like, it was explained to me that shag, the guy is the picture and the lady is the frame. And normally on dancing, the lady is the picture and the guy is the frame.
So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I need to pay more attention the next time when I'm watching couple, because I've seen it, throughout my entire life. So, but I never thought about it in that way.
Yeah, I've geeked out on the history of things. I've been dancing West Coast swing now for about 4 or 5 years, and got the bug 4 or 5 years ago, and I got an instructor that I met with once a week, and then 2 instructors I was taking ballroom and West Coast simultaneously to kind of fill out the dance, and started traveling and competing at events. And it's been a really good hobby. And I look at it as a microcosm of the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Yeah. So I will use dancing and physical activity to try and work on different problems. And if I see parallels, then it raises a flag for me.
I love that.
To work on that and focus on that area.
So interesting. I love
It's easier to solve it in that domain and then to shift the focus.
Can you give me an example of a problem?
So really dancing involves a lot of communication, especially with West Coast swing. One of the main competitions is called the Jack and Jill. Mm-hmm. You don't know. You line up and you walk out on the dance floor. There's a couple hundred people watching. You don't know who you're dancing with until they're standing across from you. You don't know what the song is going to be until it starts playing. And then you've got to lead this person you've never met potentially in a song you might not have ever heard. So
Yeah.
you gotta, it's thrown into the wolves. Yeah. So
Okay, now I see what you're saying. Okay.
yeah, very stress inducing. So
Oh.
what I notice, especially in working with a coach, if I'm consistently having issues with a certain type of pattern that I'm leading or a certain type of communication issue, and I might have two different coaches tell me the same thing, that gives me an area to look at in
Yeah,
that area and then in life.
Maybe it's you and not something
Exactly.
else.
If
I
there's
love that.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
a cheap way of doing it too.
Okay, so shoot, now I need to go take dancing lessons, I guess.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't really enjoy exercising, but I enjoy dancing. I enjoy the communication element and being able to communicate something. And ideally, as a leader, I can get the follow patterns that they might not even know.
Yeah, they don't even know they're doing it, right?
No.
You're leading them so effectively. And one of the things that I find, I know people wonder why the hell we're talking about dancing in this concept, but I really do have a reason, or in this context. But I was going to say, one of the things that I find really fascinating about that, Adam, is, stereotype of the IT person is you would never get them out on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Much less dancing with strangers to a song they don't know they're going to be dancing to, and all over the country.
I enjoy in humor. I enjoy a lot of irony. So the better I dance, the more ironic it is. So that's what I get a kick out of that as well.
I'm dying to see some video of you dancing now.
There's probably some out there.
I think that you need to start a video series that's like the dancing IT guy or something like that. The reason I was asking you so much about it, I think it's interesting anyway, but I'm also very curious to see, and there's no way we could do this tonight, it's short of a thing, but I'm very curious to see if there might be a way that you could turn that interest and love of dancing and traveling and all that and meeting new people into some way and combining it into your business.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that would be.
Yeah.
But I feel like somewhere there's some kind of crazy idea that you and I could come up with.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
It would be cool. Right now, it's been kind of a parallel thing. So whenever I go to a Steve Sims event or any sort of business conference, I'll typically try and leave a day early or stay a day late and either take group classes and things like that and kind of combine the trips that way. I try to go for 2 or 3 to 1, and that's been profitable and fun. But as far as integrating it with, there are actually a surprising number of people in engineering. I've met quite a few programmers that are dancers. Yeah, it's definitely a bucket, a category of dancers, but a lot more engineers than you'd think, because I know a lot of introverted people where dancing is their outlet. That's their extroversion. That's their connection with humanity. They might work from home all week and not really get to see or connect with anybody else. And this gives a nice structure. There's rules in place. There's social norms that you can learn. And it's not like a bar where you don't know how to act or anything.
Something to say.
Yeah, the interaction and everything's all structured. And it's from that perspective, I'm very introverted. And if I don't have a topic to talk about, or if there's a lot of people in the room, I typically won't say anything. But when I'm dancing, there's expectations. And the better you are at dancing, the more you can dance and the more you can relax with it.
I do know, we've been, what have we been at? 3 or 4 speakeasies together. And I do remember that you were quiet. We've talked some, and we sat beside. We even have a picture of me, I think, with my arm around you, but we didn't talk that much. And even though I'm a big talker, I talk a lot in certain situations, and then in other situations, I talk very, very little. But I think that is so interesting what you're saying about the engineers. And the other thing, though, and this has absolutely nothing to do with your business, but music and math are so intertwined.
Very much.
It makes sense that people who are drawn to those fields, would also be drawn to dancing. when I lived in Florida, one of my friends was a recruiter for an IT company. And if they had somebody that had, let's say, 2-3 years of experience coding, and they had another person who had 0, but they had been in high school band, they would hire the high school band person first.
Really?
Because when you are a musician, there is so much involved that's the same as coding. You know, your fingers are doing stuff you're not even thinking about.
Yeah.
And like in marching band, you're not only playing in your fingers, but you're marching and you're not even counting your steps. You know, you go and you turn and you're this way. And I know because I was in the band. I was a band geek. But you know, you're doing all this stuff and you're not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so math and technology and music, all of that are so intertwined.
Yeah,
So
and you can analyze the music, and the higher level you dance, the more you analyze the song, and you're basically another instrument of the song, and
right.
you can connect with the floor, you can connect with the audience, with your partner, connect with yourself. There's all sorts of different connections that you form. Yeah.
I love that. Adam, we got to talk about that some more because I swear I think we might be able to come up with a cool idea.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we've been talking almost an hour. Okay, this is what I'm going to say. We've talked about, I think some fascinating things. People who are might be like, oh my God, this is stupid. Whatever, we don't care if you like it or not because we had fun, right?
Absolutely, yes.
But this is going to sound so narcissistic, but you remind me so much of me because of the amount of experience and the hands-on knowledge, but the things that you value about helping your clients make sure that they get what they need. And so I feel like the process that I've gone through in the evolution of my business, I feel like we can take that and help you. Not that you're going to do exactly what I'm doing, but I do feel like that you can pull some ideas from some things that I've done and that it might help you be paid for the time that you typically lose on the front end and will create higher value on the back end. Because it's like me with web design. Most people you don't really have to have a web designer now. Yes, there are very specific situations that you really need a web designer. So I don't want it to sound like nobody needs a web designer because, oh my God, you can make something that looks horrible. But I'm talking about the development part, the coding, that so much of it is just, you know, touch and play now. But
I look at it with web design. I look at it like it's a risen tide. The market has expanded so much bigger that you might have the same number of clients that need design work, but like your funnel's gotten bigger on people that can design their own websites and get started down that path. Because you wouldn't want to work with someone that's brand new to it anyway. That's
true. But also, let's say, for example, if it's a very small business and they have somebody there that has done some sites, you know, or their nephew can you know, do it, or maybe even they can't design it, but if somebody shows them, you know, what it should look like or whatever, but they don't have anybody that helps them with the strategy of the site. So somebody can make it look good, but they have no concept of the business strategy behind it. And so that's where I used to be an accountant. I was a CPA, hated it, ditched it, I ditched all my business consulting for years, strictly did web design and development because I was so sick of it. But now I've come back around full circle and I love it way more than I did then because it's now it's more strategy. It's not just boring stuff. But so I can take my high level knowledge and combine it with the client's lower level kind of technical ability, somebody that they have access to, and the client ends up better off. They spend less money than if they were to pay my staff to do the stuff this lower level person could do, but they're getting a way higher value because the big problems that really matter are being addressed. And I see the same thing with you. I see where you could, like a ship, start turning your boat in that direction and start targeting specific types of clients for you to be that trusted advisor.
Yeah, I think two big takeaways from our conversation was the 1 hour call on us, like a strategy session, rather than I think the market's gotten flooded with consultants and coaches and things like that. So I like a strategy session. I like that verbiage a lot better, because that's what a lot of clients already call me for. I've just never put a name on it. So that was a good realization.
Well,
And then
another thing, I'm sorry for interrupting, but I know I will forget to tell you, and this is important. I have the 1 hour strategy and the brainstorming, and that's quick and dirty. What's your problem? Blah, blah, blah. Then I have the 2 hour strategy, which is more in depth, and they have the option to pay for a written plan.
Okay.
So you know what? I'm happy to talk all day, but if you want me to take what we have talked about and put it into a concise plan for you, then you need to pay me for it, or else you go do it yourself. And that sounds mean, but it takes that knowledge and expertise to do it. You can do the exact same thing.
Like a customized, directed process tailored for them.
Yes, a roadmap for what they need to do. And it can literally be, you can even in there have, these are the, whether it's the brands or whatever, these are the things I recommend. You can even have the ranges in it. This, and you can have 3 months, 6 months, a year. You know, you can put together this plan for them, and then you can say, hand it to them. They can do it themselves. They can hire another consultant, or their employees can do it. They can do it internally. They can hire another company to do it, or they can hire you and your experts, whoever you work with, to do it. And that way they're getting really high value information from you. They're getting to pick your brain, but you are being compensated for it.
Yeah.
And then they have the option. Okay, now I know what I need to do. Can I take what I need to do and turn it into the thing that I need? Yeah.
I think that would fit a lot better towards my strengths.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. And like I said, it probably sounds narcissistic, and I don't mean it that way. But a lot of the stuff that you were saying makes me feel, and I know we're both in technology, but I'm not a hardware person at all like you. I'm, apps and whatever. But I really do think that we can put our brains together and come up with some good ideas for you. But right off the bat, I think you should do that.
Yeah, I think another big takeaway was what stuck out to me is a portfolio of processes that I can offer in my marketing. What you were referencing earlier with backups and sending that out to different people and saying, this is how you should do this. If you need help with this, here's my information.
Right. And once again, you're showing you have that expertise, but you're not giving them something that's really high value. But somebody who doesn't know have your expertise is not able to tell them they need to do it.
Yeah.
So you're giving them something of value. So you're building that trust. Then when they come to you and they want something, they already know why you're worth more than the other person. So, and I'll tell you something else. When you do start booking things like that, start at a level that you realistically feel that you can book, like the strategy sessions or whatever. Start at a level that you feel like you can realistically, because you need to get it under your belt, the experience under your belt. But then as you start getting X number of them booked out, and that's up to you, start raising the price 10%, 10%, 10%. And that way you will gradually reach the equilibrium of your value and the market that you serve.
And really just crafting my message in that as I go through these, and getting more refined on my message and what I cater to. I think as I go through.
I've really enjoyed us talking tonight. I feel like I got more out of it than you did. I mean, it's really been fun for me, and it's so funny because we've talked, like I said, at Steve's events, but we've never talked that much.
Yeah.
I had no clue that you were as talkative as you are. And now, are you going to Nashville?
I am, yeah.
Okay, I'm planning on it too, so we're going to be like, woo!
It's going to be great.
But no, we won't. We won't still. You obviously you get us in the right situation, we'll yak.
This is one-on-one, so a large group of people with 30, 40 people. I tend to just observe and try and learn. So.
But I do the same, but put me on the stage and I don't mind talking. But when everybody else is talking, I tend to just be like, okay, whatever, let them talk. But then, I mean, I really would rather talk to an audience of 500 people, speak to an audience of 500 people than be in like a 20 or 30 person group. And I don't know why. Some people would probably say maybe it's control. I never thought of that. My husband would probably say, you want the control. I don't know. But anyway, I've really enjoyed it. Look, Adam, I want us to talk outside of this.
Absolutely, yes.
I want to follow up. I want us to do this together. I don't want you to hire me. I want us to do this together because I think it would be really fun to help you, and it will help me.
Absolutely.
I think that we can help each other. And also because our businesses are parallel, we might be able to target some clients together.
That would be great. And I would like to get shifted to where I could take advantage of that. That's one thing with going to these events with Steve, and I'm upgrading my network like crazy. So I'm meeting all kinds of really cool people. My hesitance is I don't have a way of a clear path of working with them. That would be the next step for me in my mind, is to be able to work with people that I meet at these events would be really cool. I just don't have a clear-cut method of doing that.
Yeah. And when you can put all these different brains together and these different skill sets, for example, and I know I'm going way over, so I'm sorry. Y'all can just turn it off if you don't want to listen. For example, the NASCAR team, I think you probably have heard of the NASCAR team that I work pro bono for because we are combating veteran suicide. Our thing is we do not want traditional sponsors. We don't want a sponsor that's like, here's the money, put our logo on the car, we use this in advertising, and then maybe next year we'll do it again. That's not sustainable, and everybody's going after the same buckets. We want B2B partnerships where there is a client, basically, who has a problem that we can help them solve. The team is kind of incidental. Mm-hmm. The experts of us who are involved in the team are the real value, and the team is incidental. So we want B2B partners that say, I have this problem, y'all can help me solve it. And oh, by the way, here's the team, here's the car. If it involves marketing or advertising or employee morale or VIP events or anything, we can bring the car into it. But what we might do might have absolutely nothing to do with racing. But if you want to work with us, you have to come in as a partner for the team. You see what I'm saying? And so one of the things that I'm working on is putting together a team of experts who are available for, if we have a client that, let's say they have franchisees and they want to have an event and they want a group of experts to come in and speak about different topics, instead of them having to either hire somebody to go find people or them having to find them, they could come to us. We have all these heads already put together, and we just pick, okay, these are the ones that need to go there.
Yeah.
You could definitely be part of that with us.
I think ideas like that are really about to take off, especially with the new legislation updated about accredited investors. I think there's going to be a lot more money circulating here very, very shortly to do deals and things like that.
And so we need to talk more about that, because pulling you into that is automatically going to get you exposure, even if we don't end up doing an event like this thing that I envision. But I do know that there are companies all over that pay wads of money to get some consultant to just put people together. And it might not be the best match of people that they need. But I know for a fact that you would be a good match with me and the other people. Steve is one of the people.
Okay. Cool.
And Ryan, did you meet Ryan out in Vegas? Colin's dad, he was with me. Tall, bald, goatee. He's in one of the pictures with us. Yeah. That is Colin's dad, Ryan.
Okay.
So, it's a bunch of us like that.
Okay.
And
that would be fun.
You would be a great addition to that because you have a skill set that the rest of us don't.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you so much, Adam. I have
Thank
had
you. This
so
was
much
fun.
fun with you. And I have to say, I've been down today because my cat is in the hospital.
Sorry to hear that.
Thumper, the one that's she barges in on my
I was
videos.
kind of looking forward to that guest appearance too.
No, and she's in the hospital, and I'm really worried about her. She's was my mom's cat, and my mom died of Alzheimer's, and so it brings up all the. But anyway, so all day I've been like, and I'm like, I gotta go do Facebook Live with Adam, and I'm not gonna be any good because I forgot about it. So thank you.
That's great. I'm glad I could be out.
Worrying about her.
Yeah. Well, so I had a lot of fun. So
I did too. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And
thank you very much.
Soon. Okay.
Right,
bye.
bye.